No, I think the Vale fucked around with my with the color.
Yeah, wasn't it matte black before?
It was. What do you think? This or the matte? Which one do you think's better?
I don't know, actually.
This isn't bad, but I do think that the matte makes it less noticeable.
Oh, no. No. Matte cars stick out like a sore thumb.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
The only situation they don't is when, like, the only reason you're seeing a car is, like, a reflection in the sunlight.
Yeah, that's kind of what I mean. Like, if I was, like, around the corner of a bush, is this going to be more obvious, or is a matte car going to be more obvious? Like, what's going to be hidden more?
I mean, there's a little
in an alleyway.
There's a little red thing and a little blue thing on the front, right? So it's very obvious either way. No matter what color you paint the car, that will always be the most obvious.
I don't mean, like, if you directly look at it, but from, like, a glance, right?
Oh, yeah. From a glance, yeah.
Yeah. So a couple things I kind of wanted to make you aware of, as
Yeah.
I'm sure you saw Kent being chewed out a bit. I want you to help guide Kent along.
Yeah, I don't, man. Like, but I don't know. Was he late? Did he just not get the memo? Like, I don't know.
It's been a couple of things. So I put Kingsman on him. Kingsman got promoted yesterday. It's been a long time coming. And so he's falling right into the chain of command, right? So Galaxy Negative 5.
Can I level with you?
Yeah.
I don't want to like be harsh like that to people like that I'm not, you know, kind of senior to, you know what I mean? Like I don't want
No. You don't got to do it like that. As a peer, right?
Yeah.
And I say this because I am going to hope he's going to, since you patrol enough, like, you know, it's kind of like, you know, hey, man, you know, this is what we should be doing. This is what we shouldn't be doing. I'm going to kind of lay some, like, important bits out. So let's start sort of at the top. Hold on 1 second. Okay. So at a baseline, Hades been sort of drastically has been declining in multiple different ways over the past like year, if not more. A lot of different factors as to why, but now we're here. But kind of some of the key bits are lack of, I think we spoke on this. Okay, it's a regular airplane. I thought I heard a fucking fighter jet there for a second. I think upon high command having a chat about it, we sort of all agreed that we're very zoomy instead of taking things one at a time, right? Slowing things down. Yeah. High quality completion of a scene before moving on to the next scene. Absent there being a higher level of threat, right? 24/7 robbery, all of a sudden Maze Bank kicks off. Sure, we're going to deprioritize the 24/7, maybe take the hostage, and then attach the Maze Bank because it's a higher prio call, right? A judge being kidnapped is more important to resolve than if we're simply on a chase with the kidnappers and the you know, those sort of things. But where does SASM sort of slice in? There is kind of a perceived and expectation that the standards that we bestow within this department are that of a higher caliber than the other two departments. A large factor being a consequence of our responsibility. Now, I think we're mostly there already, by and large. And obviously when someone is a rookie, they're going to be coming in with varying levels of experience. We're going to have some rookies that are so damn fresh, they've probably only been in law enforcement for 3 months. But then you've got folks like yourself who've been through the ringer for years. But when it comes to our deputy marshals, when it comes to our full marshals, we're going to be held to a higher standard whether we want to or not. But I am going to hold us at a higher standard. Example.
Yeah, as you should.
Yes. Example being, Hobbler was suspended by 7 days by me after I learned that his gun was unregistered and those casings were on the scene of McQuillan's death. And that is going to appear harsh. I'm of the mindset that I don't really give a fuck. If he packed his bags and said, I'm done, well, that sucks. But he didn't. Instead, he came in, desk duty, worked his ass off, and it was reduced down to 3 as he understood the why and he understood the corrective measures. And instead of pouting, he spent those 3 days working on areas that SASM needed, right? That level of discipline is very standard for me, but non-standard outside of this department. There's a lot of excuse making. I'm going to make mistakes. You're going to make mistakes. We're all going to make mistakes. But once they cross a certain line, we have to be quick, swift with that discipline, but willing to draw back some, right? If there's if there's recognition of fault, right? And that is even in cases where, 70% of it is not our own, right? Like, but anyways, the reason I sort of laid this foundation out is Kent is not, let's call it, classically trained, right? And so there are some habits that we're trying to sort of slowly direct him out of. I don't know him well enough to know where his skills lie and where they don't lie. And unfortunately, when he was kind of brought into the department, there was a couple of mistakes made. We didn't really get the feedback we needed from LSPD so that we knew what areas to improve them on. So we've kind of had to learn as we go. So yesterday we had a 78's call. While we were doing, SASM was doing something else on channel 18. It was something light, and he wanted to attach to it. Now, there was 25 to 30 local law enforcement on duty. We do not attach to those 78s. We should not. It becomes yes, they're under distress, but they have enough units to handle it. We are not a backup. Oh, what the fuck? We're not a backup unit.
I see that. What the hell? Ma'am.
Yeah, meth heads all the way up here. We don't want to be a backup unit, a 78's backup unit on local calls, as we have other priorities. I'm sure you can kind of read between the lines my meaning on that. Right?
You don't want us to be tied down for hours in the event that something significant that we really have to deal with shows up.
Exactly that.
In broad strokes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And when it comes to governmental investment, we're being invested in at a state level, but if that investment is getting redirected into county crimes, there could be a budgeting challenge I may end up facing, where it's like, well, these bank trucks are getting, have 30 local law and another 5 state law on top of it. Like, do we really need to keep funding you guys? Right. So I am cognizant. I'm being cognizant of that in advance. And so in that moment, I looked at dispatch and I stated, and I've had this conversation with others too, and it's kind of unfortunate. I'm doing it more as a, hey, we got to help him, right? So I look at dispatch and I noticed there was like there's like 25 to 30 local law. I said, we don't need to go to that. They've got plenty. I don't necessarily think he picked up on what I was putting down or something, because next thing we knew, he had grabbed a parachute like 10, 15 minutes later when we're like, hey, where the hell did Bruce go? And he was parachuting into the 78s.
What?
Yes. And so I pulled him aside and I gave him a very stern talking to. And because two things were hitting. One is like, I told you no, and you did it anyways. But also, when we were in the midst of doing some very SASM related stuff, why are you jettisoning to a 78s? Right? Are you sure you want to be a marshal? Or are you a marshal because you want to be G.I. Joe? Right? And rather truthfully, I think he's got to make that decision and figure it out as a secondary thing. I and others in local law have been noticing this. I haven't had the time to address it till yesterday, but I have noticed he's primarily just going to local calls, and has not really put his foot forward to try to create a niche for himself here, or really put his best foot forward to ask others, many of which have cases, to see where he can fit in.
To be fair, I also kind of feel like that's me to a certain extent. I get that you brought me on for a specific thing, and I know that thing is going to take a lot of time to kind of bear fruit, and we're working through it, and we're starting making documents and so on and so forth. But at the moment, I find myself, especially before the tsunami, I basically just do patrol because there's a very limited amount of, like, unless something, I come across something that I can, start a case on, start looking into.
Absolutely.
Then I'm patrolling. And to be fair, there's like, sometimes like 8 to 10 to 12 local law enforcement. So I'm patrolling a lot at those hours of the day, right? I feel like I fall into that rut as well.
So I would say I'm going to be, call it selfish or whatever. I picked you because I know where you can end up down the line, right? So I give you that leeway. What? Is that a bad thing?
What does that mean?
Well, what that means is I know you're capable. I've known you for years, right? And unfortunately, Bruce doesn't have that leeway. Was it ominous? No, like I could see you being command down the line. Yeah, I could see you being command down the line, right? It's going to take some time there as you kind of adjust back into San Andreas life, right? Like, I mean, rather transparently, right? Like, it's one of the reasons I haven't opened up the conversation about bringing you to deputy marshal. I know you're capable, but I also don't want others to see it and be like, oh, I can be deputy in 2 weeks. You know what I mean? It's there's a social aspect of it.
Sure.
That said, I think pre-tsunami is a bit of an exception simply due to the limited amount of units, right? So look, if they've got like 20 or less cops on duty, us going and backing them up on a 78s is encouraged, right? They got 15 on duty. They got fucking Polito. Yeah, of course we back them up, right? But around this time, it's like look at the dispatch, right?
That is very much like as a patrol cop. That's very much my kind of lane anyway. Is like someone's trying to kill someone, and I know that I'm very capable of being that officer that shows up and goes like, right, well, here's the boundaries. Here's what we need to do. Deal with this person. Do we have the information? Okay, shoot that fucker. Right? Like I don't mince words on those calls because it's like if we have the information, you can't pussyfoot around for 20 minutes going, well, I don't know. It's like you either know or you don't. You deal with it this way or that way. But if this cop's getting shot, shoot back, right?
I
wholeheartedly I kind of fall into that line.
Wholeheartedly agree when it comes to their unit counts, right? let's say a 78's popped off right now. We got to let them do their best, right? Now that is going to mean, now one thing that you'll notice is you came on board during a downtime. And once you witness how bad it gets for us, you'll see why this downtime is necessary. So I promise you, in the next week or so, when shit starts popping off, you'll see that, you know, that struggle will very quickly dissipate.
Yeah.
But even then, I think part of that too is, you know, we had like the Nexus thing last week, right? Were you around much last week during the Nexus stuff? I don't recall.
I was a busy little worker bee, basically, taking part in the Interceptor team.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah,
I'm just chasing people.
Kind of keying back on Bruce, right? And yeah,
yeah, like some specifics, some more specifics would be good. So kind of things to look out for. But I almost feel like, you know, you've said you've brought me on because, you know, you've known me, you know, in previous eras, so to speak, right? We know each other for a long time. In some way, I feel like I can't mentor somebody who's spent a lot more time on patrol in the past, say, year, right? So it's this weird dichotomy. Also, the other thing, it doesn't apply to Bruce so much, but more in generally, like, I don't want to step on jurisdictional toes. So I'm very quick to like step back and be like, okay, LSPD thing, okay, BCSO thing. Okay,
yes. Apparently, he's been doing the opposite.
Oh no.
Yes. Now, keep in mind, I want you to take this as a grain of salt, right? Because there's going to be the mix of fuck Bruce by the LSPD. He transferred, he's a traitor, that energy, right? So even I'm taking it as a bit of a grain of salt when I hear those things, and as I have been. And rather, I've been focusing on things that I see myself and trying to direct him. Now, obviously, I'm going to be coming in with the stick, right? But when it comes to where I kind of want your help here is, I'm with you on the level of like, you may not be able to. If you could be that person that if you see like, hey man, maybe you shouldn't be doing that, right? Like, hey, we got to back out of the scene, being that second voice. You know, when the ping goes off or the thing goes off and you see him like jumping into his G.I. Joe outfit in a parachute, that people are like, hey man, they've got 30 on duty and it's just a, you know, senior bun shooting. Like, I think you understand my meaning with that? Like, yeah, and so it's going to take a bit of a collective. I think Kingsman's going to work with him on the broader sense, right? And then for your development, that's probably largely going to come from me, since I'm sort of the de facto command member right now in post-Tsunami Shift 1. And I'm going to try to be showing up a bit more in pre-Tsunami Shift 1. And I think as sort of time accrues and Shift 1 starts to shore up a bit more, I think this will sort of like self-resolve itself, right? So, I think the key differentiator here, Bill, is we need to be cognizant on what the PD numbers are and what the call is. As number one, we need to be prepared for our own calls, which there will be plenty. But the second is, if we don't want to be the force that is, I'm just going to email you this. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Finding that perfect line is gonna be some work. So even the numbers I give you, they're a bit spitball. So
Yeah, it's like if I hear like doop, 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 and then that like fucking 6 more times, and there's like 20 officers on duty, and it's like, you know, more cops are dying, more cops are dying, more cops are dying, more cops are dying. I'm like, yeah.
I think that's an assessment, right?
Yeah.
And I think we gotta find where that
quite dynamic, right?
yeah. It's to some degree and a bit counterintuitive, as are with many of our things. It's like, well, that sucks.
Yeah.
They should have thought better. You know what I mean? Even though our intuition may be to go in there and be that preventative force. This kind of lines a bit with the Babylon situation. And I want to expand on this a little bit because this is almost philosophical. Local law should not be calling on us for low-end warrants. I call it low-end in that even if it's an OIS, right? It was a singular OIS warrant. Because there's kind of this odd place that we find ourselves in SASM. We are the entity that doesn't just stop state actors, but we're also the organization that our community, that's everyone, felons included, need to rely on in order to, they need to be comfortable coming to us with problems, right? Example, Hydra coming to us to help save their friends that were kidnapped, right? Or in past, the DOJ coming to us and pointing out cases where law enforcement was hiding evidence on the docket and self-redacting. The situations recently with and understandably that's an IAA thing, but any one of us can be an intake for that, right? So if we find ourselves on too many of these local calls, not so much pre-tsunami, but post-tsunami. I know pre-tsunami numbers across the board are pretty down.
Oh yeah, it can get real fucking bad.
Yes. But like post-tsunami, right? Like I was speaking to a member of the Lost and they were a bit confused and they're like, I saw someone being lead on the Polito that I may have allegedly been on, right? And while that may be the case from time to time, it creates like a mental perception in individuals' minds that, well, we're just another cop, when the reality it isn't, right? And so,
I feel like, and this isn't a personal perception, but it's definitely something that I get the vibe of, if this makes sense. Again, it's not, I don't think it personally, and I'm not saying this like in a prideful way, but I think some people think the marshals are just like a different shade of trooper.
Correct. We're more than that. And we kind of are, eventually. San Andreas State Patrol. And the San Andreas State Investigation Bureau under SASM one day. But I think it's that going back to the Babylon thing, the specifics, is I kind of ADHD into Narnia there with my thoughts.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
You know, with that warrant being what it is, even when it comes to those warrant apprehensions, unless they come to us directly to handle it, even if we're handling it, when we look at it, we need to ask ourselves, is this a state level matter, right? And if it isn't, we got to let them just do it.
Yeah, honestly, looking back on it, like, yeah, a whole bunch of cops got shot. Yeah, I probably would have ended up, like, being there anyway, potentially, with the amount of officers that got shot. But, asterisk, were it not for the fact that I was, like, catching up what number one asks to be there, and number two catching up, like quite literally swimming behind everyone else trying to catch up. If I knew what was going on or what the plan was before they went in, I would have been like,
this is
not such a good idea.
Is it on you or Bruce? It's actually on me, because I literally was like, I'm not going to that shit show again. Now, I know that might sound presumptuous, but I saw 3 red flags the moment I heard about it, and I'm like, fuck that. That's going to be a shit show again. And lo and behold, I should have went out of my way to pull you two out, but I was sort of in my mind balancing, I need them to see what happens with their own eyes. And the other side of me being like, well, I don't want to pull you guys away from something that may be, for lack of a better word, adrenaline filled. But I sort of regret it to a degree, because I knew where it would go. The moment I realized who is involved.
The moment you realized that Carmine was the one doing the negotiations,
Correct.
Yeah.
And that has bubbled into more. And this is where it gets...
It's almost like he threw that court case intentionally.
He put you on the stand intentionally.
Oh, yeah, it's, I'm told the truth. A bunch of people shot at me and I shot back.
There's a broader perspective here, Bill, and this takes like a lot of context from the last 3-4 months.
Yeah.
He put you on the stand to make it appear as though the marshals decided this. And you did speak your truth. And you did right that when people
I followed orders.
You did. But people don't process those things. And in fact, I will go further and say you did the right thing, because you followed orders. You were instructed a certain way, and you took out a bunch of motherfuckers, and you did a good fucking job with that. But given that you did not have the context and could not have seen the flags I did, I want you to, you're going to eventually get to the point where you're going to see those flags, right? Because you don't know what Carmine's going to do. You don't know what our situation with Babylon is. And I want to give you some of that context today. New Babylon is our biggest force against. I'm going to bullet point some of this, right? And before I do, actually, we'll get there. Okay, bullet points. New Babylon came to be about 9 months ago with a various set of individuals. Now, at a high level, this is probably Lang Buddha's like fucking, master plan to do something crazy probably down the line. But what we do know is it initially consisted of some people from a gang called Cypress, led by Lang and Speedy and, the whole, typical crew you're probably aware of. But it also hodged in the majority of the city's civilians. It was significantly worse in the past than it is now, where the entire city, every fucking block, you got Hydra and Mirror Park and Ashura and Mirror Park. You got like Little Soul is like besties. I want you to imagine 10 years ago, but twice as bad. Like in terms of gang-related shootings and cops getting shot. Senior Buns, literally like Fallujah, right? Like it's just civilians had no room to breathe and exist. And I don't want to make it out to sound like New Babylon was their saving grace, but the facts of the matter is a lot of those civilians ended up heading to New Babylon. So New Babylon really became, over the past 9 months, a place where you do have the militia, which are ex-gang members, and the violent ones. You have the Marduks, initially, which was Lang, and then they changed it. They have an internal voting structure. I think they now got 4 now, so they have their own little, internal policies. but then it's riddled with civilians. Some of them include X3POS, Edgar de Castillo, Hassan Bashari, etc., whom initially were the foot soldiers for the Faceless, but over a year of the Faceless happening, Edgar left and joined New Babylon, and in doing so burnt a blueprint of which was given to him by the Faceless, as the Faceless had given other gangs said blueprints, eventually burned it, as did Speedy, separately but for the same similar reasons, as joining New Babylon means destroying your past, and so they burnt it. Now, New Babylon as a community is very, very anti-Faceless for a number of reasons. But in burning them, it led to New Babylon, and the already pre-existing hatred of New Babylon by the Faceless led to it getting firebombed. I'm talking military things and like them getting blown the fuck up, this, that, and the third. They separately, but related to this, have been constantly attacked by Faceless adjacent gangs. Chaos Legion, Ravens, Hounds, Besties, etc., etc. And this is sort of the environment they've been in, hence the structures and the nervousness. But in light of all of this, despite the fact that they have gone to jail for murders and this, that, and the third, by they I mean members of New Babylon, the civilian among them have still persisted being civilians.
Understandable.
They also are between us, how's our biggest CIs?
Oh, damn.
Yeah. Now, this does not mean, and I want to make this very clear, does not mean we look the other way, but this is more to highlight that they are not your typical gang whom might just look at us as one pane of glass. And this is what brings us to recent events. Harris was driven to New Babylon by McNulty, who's very close to many of those guys. Close, I mean they're willing to talk to him as a human, right? Or he knows him very well, right? And he was going to introduce Harris, like, as we should, right? With any other crew around. And Harris was immediately shot due to the situation with the warrant. Now, that's a bad thing. A number of reasons. The biggest is that those actions now put us in a very awkward spot. I'm going to be having a chat with their leadership. They continue on that energy, it's not going to end well for them. But I sort of highlight the shooting as more of our department is no longer being looked at as just another department by them, rather than seeing the differentiating factors, right? And so I'm sort of like putting this all on the table here, not as a way to kind of like draw some like clarity, right? And sort of some perspective. And I think yeah. So what do you think of all this?
I think that it's illuminating context, for sure.
So,
and presents a rather awkward problem.
I think it'll be a short-lived one. At the end of the day, they recognize they need us as much as we need them. I'm gonna give you a highlight of what I mean by, and I need you to keep this to yourself.
Yes.
30-minute. Remember when you were overwatching me?
Where? When?
Right before the
shadowing
raid
you.
warrant.
Yes. Yeah.
I
Oh,
was
yeah. And then we went to
given the
quarry.
name of a critical individual, which is the only reason we just saved someone's life the other day. I was given the name of a ex FIB agent known as Caleb Rowe. Caleb Rowe, something happened to him in the FIB building 2 weeks ago. We have 0 reports on this. I only wrote it down. 3 days later, an individual whom we have... What's your state ID?
8775.
Congratulations, you're now in the faceless case.
Oh, yippee.
I want you to stop me at any time when this becomes too much of an information overload, because I know I'm dumping a bunch of shit on your plate right now. You have now been granted access to Theta. Also known as the Greek files. Take a close look at 41324. Is that the right one?
Yeah.
You will find that these tags are there for the intention of separating out like faceless with archivist, etc. They're Greek named so that people cannot pull up our public profile and just like tie things together, right? So when we say Theta, we're talking about faceless. When we're talking about
this is Marshall classified document SOP. That's the one I'm seeing. Okay.
Gives you I haven't updated that in a minute. Oh, I'm sorry. You actually want to look at 35374. The idea behind this is, what this allows us to do is, let's say local law enforcement, right? We don't share data with everyone. The reason why is I dealt with over a year of leaking. We all did. A lot of people look at these things as 2-hour events, and then we'll just pass the information around regardless of what happens. Now, if you see on the right-hand side, you'll see the references.
I don't see any references.
On 35374?
35374, I see no references.
Let me pull up your profile again. You may need to restart your MDT. Are you able to pull up it's fine.
No, I don't see any references.
So once your MDT restarts, or you take a nap or whatever, or do you know how to restart your MDT?
Yeah.
Okay. That might be a design feature. So the idea behind classified reports are like this. You come in as a deputy marshal. We don't have to be concerned that we end up with someone joining, looking at all the different Greek files, and then just like fucking off in 3 weeks, or deciding they want to be a criminal, or being a dumb fuck and leaking everything, right?
Yeah.
The second beauty of it is that certain detectives or non-detectives may be on a particular case, be it Zenith, be it Archivist, be it Faceless, be it this, that, and the third. it allows them to grant them access to it without seeing all of it. They would only see like that case. Now go ahead and open 35053.
I see that.
You notice on the right-hand side, under officers involved,
Yeah.
the way we ensure, because it's hard to know who's got what tag, like just as I just added you, you now see Lydia Vale under officers involved.
Oh, I see it now. Marshall
Yep.
Theta, yeah.
This
Oh, I see
master
just that,
summary is on every single Greek report. The intent of it is this is your cover letter for folks like yourself who, for the first time, are now looking at a thing filled with probably 100 different reports in it. What is a TLDR? Well, here it is. From there, you will notice the references, the faceless timeline, the persons of interest, the location of interest, subpoenaed book documentation, classified phone tap. Right? And like I said, with the officers involved there, you know who's involved in the case. So you don't have to second guess yourself when shit goes down. This is this is the most complicated and convoluted case I've ever worked. There are going to be many times where I, simply due to the amount of hours I have in it, may notice things that others won't. Because there are, if you pull up the persons of interest, that's only a subset of names. You'll see on the right-hand corner, and it'll lead to 34229. This shit goes deep. And it's only getting more convoluted. As the faceless used to be, small history, Mr. Blue had maybe Skipper Jones, now New Babylon, left faceless a while ago, had Edgar de Castillo, Brandon Valentino as his like henchman, right? And when I say henchman, he'd like give them missions, let's just say. Eventually, as their foothold grew, they opened up their structure down at the Echelon in Vinewood. And instead of Mr. Blue doing the service, it became Charlie and some of the other agents, let's call them. And at that stage, Charlie would start to recruit those outside of Edgar's bubble. And now it became operations led by gang leaders, their number twos, their number threes, working in conjunction to do things. In that time window of, let's say, 6 to 9 months, they stole chemical agents, began to produce chemical agents, started to produce a nuclear bomb, likely in the bunker over in Grapeseed, started to expand their network, hence came the faceless chip. Fast forward even further. Liquid Library opens up. We later learn, owned by Maximilian Angel. Somewhere in there is a secret place where they would congregate. Also was the Kiflom building, also owned by the Faceless. Likely a front for the Faceless where they kept their intelligence network, like the mainframe.
Yeah, we've talked about this with the shit on the rooftop.
Yes.
Getting blown up.
And then they expanded further. And the antenna systems came into play where we believe their CCTV networks expanding into the Life Invader and went there. And then that was blown up and upgraded, and now we believe that their mainframe is sitting in the center of Mount Chiliad in an old, barely constructed Cerberus base.
Yeah.
Now, after having seen these Nexus races, and why it's now becoming more incumbent that more of us in SASM are aware of the Faceless, is because I think they've actually no longer just the singular organization, I am now looking at the faceless as like a foundation, a slab, where you do have the pillar of gun trade. You do have the pillar of, terror. And you have the pillar of, doing missions to, the latest of which is getting these FIB documents, right? But now you've got Nexus sitting on top of that. We know Nexus works for the faceless. But then you also got Zenith, who is benefiting from Nexus and the faceless. You've got the archivist that is working with the faceless. So without understanding the faceless, even those separate pillars become harder to read, right? I'm going to point you at a name.
Mm-hmm.
In the persons of interest, you will see a name. Under affiliation unknown.
I closed it.
Yep.
I gotta find it again.
It's gonna be
what's the number?
34229.
Persons of interest, affiliation unknown.
Yep. That Amanda Miller.
Yeah.
She was the wife of David Miller, a weapons engineer for the U.S. government.
Yeah.
He was kidnapped back in like January 2026. And he is the individual whom created the blueprints, which led to the flood of Class 2s around the city. Since then, those blueprints are likely long gone between us seizing some besties, blowing up some buildings with it, etc., right? Edgar burning his, Speedy burning his. David Miller, alongside, I said January, I meant 2025, so over a year ago. April of 2025, David, Amanda, their kids were taken somewhere in the mountainside and killed. Amanda somehow survived and was in ICU. She was put in ICU April of last year. She got out of ICU about 5 days ago.
Oy, oy, oy.
She's now staying in SASM. I'm aware. Blunt is aware. Ruth is aware. And now you're aware.
Right.
Why? Because they want her dead. Kingsman did a interview with her. I recommend listening to it. I still got to upload mine. But here is the key bits to, obviously don't mention her name. We call her Susan.
Mm-hmm.
Her, when she, before I moved her to the observatory, she was staying at Davis. And I think Kingsman didn't fully understand the severity of the situation, understandably. Look, there's a million things going on. There was the, that I was handling, and I forgot even what the fuck I was in the middle of. I think it was like a Nexus arrest or something, and I told Kingsman to grab her because I saw the 311 with Amanda Miller in marshal custody, and he went down, grabbed her, brought her to Davis. Next day, she's sitting there, and she was sitting in the office. No, it was the same night. She tells us that she was sitting in the office waiting for Kingsman, and Rowan, the name that Lang gave me, that she recognized, Rowan walked up to the window in Davis PD and started talking to her. and tried to get her to leave. She refused. Rowan is an FIB agent, ex or current. If Lang told me his name and Lang inferred he had some shit went down 2 months ago, or sorry, like 2 weeks ago, said Rowan, Caleb Rowe. No. Caleb Rowe? Give me a sec. Yeah, Caleb Rowe. And given the fact that, New Babylon hates Faceless and this and that, and they're blah, 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 I am willing to bet that Lang and company likely went into the FIB building, and I put it in quotes because as far as I've been told, the FIB doesn't exist, right? So old agents, who fucking knows? Likely went in there. Where I'm going is, I think motherfucking Caleb works for the damn Faceless. And wanted to get to Amanda. Right. As the interview continued, she went on to say that Amanda's husband, right, was the weapons manufacturer or weapons engineer for the U.S. military, that she was so heartbroken, not because of just her husband and rest of her family, but she had been through a experience like this 10 years prior when she lost her dad, who was in the FIB. Her dad was investigating the Faceless and Talon before he lost his life to the building exploding. Does this click anything for you?
No.
Okay. Shit. I think this happened. Okay. As you read through those files, and as I have more time to sort of underline some of the nuances, because I skipped a lot, right, for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
She acknowledges that that Caleb Rowe is an FIB agent that's been investigating the Faceless. Her father, also FIB. Caleb, for some reason, really wants... I think Amanda is being kidnapped. Well, no. There's an attempt to kidnap her already by the utilization of Rowan. I further believe that her dad is actually alive, as the situation in which she believes her father was dead, I was there. I was there, Vale, when the FIB was blown up.
Yeah.
Her dad wasn't among the casualties. So, do you remember Bob Smith?
Sure.
No? Old Chief?
I said sure.
Oh,
Yeah,
I thought that was like a sure, like, yeah, I'll acknowledge it, but I'm not certain.
No, yeah, I mean, I was in his department for ages.
Yeah. I figured when the 911s came in for the bombing of the FIB building, I was a cadet. I was 695. And we were on like a Fleeka Bank chase. And I got on radio. I'm like, hey, guys. Hey, we need to get to that. What guys, there's a fucking bomb at the FIB building. And I remember on radio hearing, Brian, shut the fuck up. We're in a chase. And I was losing my mind. No. I was losing my mind. I'm like, bomb, FIB building. Are you guys dumb? And I was like, oh, fine, I'm going to go by myself. And Bob decides, he's like, you know what, Brian, I'll come with you. And we went up there, and the entire place was blown to fucking smithereens. Victims on the top. And it was by this terror org known as Talon.
Mm-hmm.
I have some theories as to what its relevance is, but I'm kind of hesitating here until you sort of start reading through the faceless files, right?
Yep.
It may otherwise... I don't want to indoctrinate you with my hypotheses because I'd rather you come up to speed on your own accord so that, you know, we can see if your ideas down the line begin to align, right? Or deviate. You know, you buy into my bullshit and turns out I'm wrong. Well, you know.
That's a valid way of approaching it.
Yeah. So, in the helm of all this shit going down and New Babylon being such a big piece in this FIB shit, it's, you know, the timing has been unfortunate, but like I said, we're gonna get that short up rather quick. Do you have any questions for me? I do want you to start looking through those files, and
I will.
You know, Juno is also coming up to speed, so please do lean on each other for catching up, and you will find that these reports will begin to pay serious dividends. So
a lot of reading. Sure. 100%.
All right. I don't think you got to read everything. The key documents will be LinkedIn references. And if anything, most of the experience and the things you see will be experience in and of itself, right?
This is kind of stuff that I really need to know, because in a situation where I'm the only one around, more or less, like, you know, pre-tsunami or like, you know, that kind of time, if something pops off, I don't know what the fuck I'm looking for, but it needs to be documented, right? Like, shit needs to be documented. Reports need to be made. Stuff needs to be generated. Like, this needs to be observed. This needs to be seen for the people who know more about whatever it is, right? Like, hey, here's this thing happened. Here's this thing that I saw. Here's that thing that you know what I mean?
Yeah, that exactly. And you just reminded me. Juno has been added, as has Kingsman. Each one of y'all bring a different lens, which is good. Juno's also a crackhead when it comes to investigations. Shift 2, right? You're Shift 1. Kingsman has been pretty tapped with a lot of this. So between the three of y'all, would make for a good, you know, little work group, I guess.
But like, you know, don't be under any illusions that I'm a hammer. I'm a sledgehammer. Oh God, someone's coming to kill us.
Oh,
okay,
I know.
It's all right.
I know. Y'all bring different skill sets, right? We're SASM, right? We're like fucking special forces, you know. We everyone brings a different skill set to the team, right?
Yeah, you're not going to get the same results with a hammer as you would with a scalpel. You
know
what I mean?
But y'all need to be able to identify the targets.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, it's kind of like we've gotten a lot of shit by under the claim of we don't share anything with the other departments. Reality is everyone is running around with their blinders on. You'll find very quickly that 90% of the faceless stuff is actually a regular report. It's only some of the hypersensitive shit that's in those. But it's over time when you see Miguel on the Kiflon building, to many it might be like, oh, what? No, he's just randomly bombing it. But having the background, you know, oh shit, that's likely against the faceless. One of their antennas is up there. They're at war with, like, you know, they're trying to break away and kill the faceless. Like, now it means something else, right? And I think that's kind of where that background comes into play. Like, yeah, we can take him out, but who else is involved? Are they going to come in with military jets, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, no questions really. I'll pick through it.
Hell yeah. All right. I also have a very strange feeling things are going to start heating up starting today. So just be ready on channel 18.
Today?
Well, even if you're going to bed, just, I mean, listen, once this shit starts, Vale, I don't think you... Look, you've had it very easy so far.
It's, yeah, no, I
when it goes, it's going to be the next 2 months. Every day, non-stop.
Yeah, no, that's good.
Like,
I'd rather that than, like...
Where we're like, we don't have enough units.
Yeah.
There are, and most of it comes from patrol, mind you. We don't get a phone call that says Faceless is doing something. It's McNulty, myself, Juno, Ruth being like, why the fuck are a bunch of Faceless assault team members by this fishing dock? Oh fuck, they might have Ming. Oh fuck, 12 hours later, like, we're, you know, it gets crazy. Yeah. So that'll be the other thing too, is you'll start to know where your patrol might need to be, what to look for, who to keep an eye on. You know, why is Brandon over here again? You know, like, you see my meaning. All right. All right. Oh, oh God. So, you good? Sorry, Bill.
Do you have anything else for me, sir?
No. I think I've,
Okay, I'm gonna go catch up with the Chief Justice.
All right, easy enough. You stay safe.
Thank you, sir.